Hello and welcome again to Telecom TV. I'm Martin Warwick. We are here at the Internet of Insurance event in by no means sunny but trendy Shoreditch in the City of London, and I'm talking with Delhi Atanda, who is co-founder and president of Quantifile Limited. Delhi, good to meet you. Thanks for talking to us.
Hi Martin, thanks for inviting us.
We were talking off camera for quite some time. It's very interesting stuff that you're doing now, but tell the audience what Quantifile does.
So Quantifile's a well-being app that focuses on motivation and helping people in rehabilitation get back to work more quickly.
Now this relates directly then to the insurance industry, because obviously premiums are being paid for, when people are off sick and so on. So if you can get people back to work without coercing them or without getting them back before they're ready for it, but if you can motivate them to get back into it, so much the better.
Absolutely. So we work specifically in the income protection space in that sense. So insurers are effectively picking up the cost of an employee's salary once they've been out of work after a certain period of time. And the alarming factor of the statistics here is that we see from research that if people are out of work more than 6 months, then there's a 50% chance that they'll never go back to work at all. And if that extends to 2 years, there's a 10% chance that they'll ever go back to work at all.
So, tell us about the technology before we talk about the circumstances surrounding it. What sort of technology are you using? We've talked a lot about the Internet of Things. I presume wearables and devices are involved in this. So tell us how it works.
Yeah, so essentially our application is an app, and it connects with wearable devices. So there are a couple of things that are key to it. One is there's a planification component, so people can plan activities that they want to do. And again, research shows that people who plan things have a 10% or 10 times more likely to achieve them than people who don't. So for us, we've created what we call a momentum score. And this is basically a combination of behavior data in terms of picking up from wearables what people are actually doing, and planning data in terms of demonstration of intent. So and this is the real sort of key thing of it, that if you can combine planning with intent with behavior, and you can reward people in a manner that's akin, that enables them to get support, then you can create an engaging mechanic around which they can get motivation and support when they need it.
Thank you. Now, the insurance industry is venerable, not to say ancient. It was a disruptor back in the 17th century, but not necessarily anymore.
Yeah.
And now, of course, it's renowned for being a bit stick in the mud, a bit unwilling to change. Doesn't want to do anything, wants things to be the same. Status quo is fine by us, but that's not an option anymore.
No.
How do you find dealing with the insurance industry? I've been speaking to people at this event, and they're saying what we're finding now is making them go out and look for innovation and look for companies that can innovate with them to solve specific problems. Is that what's happened with you?
Yeah, I think that's quite fair to say. There's a difference between discussion and action in that regards, and I think not all insurers are created the same. Some are a bit more progressive than others in that regards. From the earliest stages, I think we found a different dynamic with reinsurers. Particularly, they tend to look at things from a more strategic perspective, and kind of the underlying patterns and indications and trends of the way the market's evolving in that sense. I think there was more reluctance on the primaries part initially, but again, I think it's a kind of first mover. It's oligopolistic in many regards. So, once one person starts to do something, then everyone has to. And London is, the fintech movement in London is now effectively the largest in the world.
All the way around here.
Exactly. So it's a natural evolution to insurtech. So, and again, I think there are a lot of sideways competitors that are looming around the market, the Googles, the Apples, the Facebooks of the world.
Not only that, mobile phone companies. O2's now into insurance.
Exactly.
Incredible.
Exactly. And, you look at the auto industry again, and how with self-driving cars and the insurance models are going to have to change there. So it's inescapable effectively that there are going to be dramatic changes in the industry. So the question really is, are the incumbent insurers going to be part of that change, or are they going to be disintermediated and disrupted out of the market? So,
what do you think?
I think that there is a massive cultural shift that needs to happen. I think there's a different approach to insurance. So on one hand, I think one of the things that we're going to see a lot more of is granularization of insurance products. And this in itself represents potentially a risk because insurance products can become third-party products effectively that lose visibility in that sense, that become bundled as part of other things. And I think that's going to happen quite rapidly. And of course, around the emerging markets, I think that perhaps could even accelerate at a faster rate. And it's going to be challenging to see how incumbents can really address that element of it, because the agility and the margins that are involved will be so slim, and et cetera, et cetera. So it may not be attractive, but that's classically how disruption happens with niche, small, unattractive
That's exactly
markets.
what's happened in the internet market, the broadband market,
Exactly.
the mobile market,
Exactly.
everything else. I think it's important that we stress, Delhi, that this isn't a coercive model. It isn't do this or else, is it? It's not a matter of policing people's behaviour. It's a matter of encouragement.
Absolutely, and this is our core proposition, is to get behind the data, to understand the person, and to get into the motivations, the psychology of why people are inhibited or what encouraged, what's preventing people from being able to do what they want to do. And if you look at income protection and rehabilitation and people going back to work specifically, 99% of people, or 95 or so percent of people do want to get back to work. And so it's about support, giving them the right levels of support. And even that small 5% of people who may not necessarily be keen to go back to the job that they were doing, then it's really about understanding what is the real problem. Maybe it's that job that's the problem. And from an insurance perspective, well, okay, let's get them into another job, and reduce the claim and make them more productive and happy in that regard.
A final question to you, because we are running out of time, but I do want to get this one in, which is, I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and the fact that the insurance companies, the big established old-fashioned type insurance companies, seem very ill prepared for the fact the changes are coming in terms of data management, data sovereignty, compliance, and so on. And I don't think they realise, or at least a lot of people have been talking to me and saying they don't realise that they can run themselves into all sorts of trouble legally unless they do things properly, particularly and specifically in terms of data portability as well.
Absolutely.
How much of a problem do you think that is?
I think it's a massive problem, but by the same token, I think it's a massive opportunity. So we've been great proponents of GDPR and self-sovereignty around data. So it's all back to this cultural shift in mindset, but there is a new paradigm that's emerging. And if companies don't approach consumer data in a completely different way from the perspective of the customer owning that data and becoming an agent, or an active participant in the utilization of that data, they will come into very big problems very quickly.
Very, very interesting stuff. As I said, we could have talked for a long time about this, but Delhi Tanda, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Martin.